Have you ever felt as if reality were just a thin film about to tear apart at any moment? I felt that way every single day. It didn't start suddenly, it was gradual, like mold spreading along the wall of a sealed room. I had always been a rational person, skeptical to the core, but there was something about those stories, those accounts about Setealen. I read them on forums, watched videos late at night with the glow of the monitor burning my eyes, and every word seemed to resonate inside me with a nauseating familiarity. It wasn't just curiosity, it was recognition. I began researching obsessively. I spent sleepless nights devouring theories about parallel universes, dimensional rifts, and that filthy, dark, hostile reality they call Setealen. And as I stared into the abyss began staring back at me. At first, it was the feeling of being followed. I would go to work and feel eyes drilling into the back of my neck. On the subway, I saw figures out of the corner of my eye. People who looked wrong, with clothes just a bit too faded, or a waxy pallor to their skin. When I turned, they vanished into the crowd. Or worse, they were still there, staring without blinking. At home, the silence felt heavy, charged with a static only I could hear. I told myself it was stress, that my obsession with the subject was playing tricks on my mind. I was wrong. The fear wasn't imaginary. The fear was a warning. The confirmation came on a gray Tuesday, a day that should have been completely ordinary. I needed to go to the pharmacy. My head was pounding with a migraine, probably the result of too many sleepless nights. The pharmacy was cold, filled with that antiseptic smell of alcohol and medicine that usually calmed me. I took a number and waited, trying to ignore the buzzing in my ears. That's when I saw them. Near the diaper aisle, there were two children. They looked about 6 or 8 years old. They stood perfectly still, like garden statues, but there was nothing childish about their faces. They were staring at me, not at the people around them, not at the colorful products, just me. A freezing chill ran down my spine, raising goosebumps along my arms. Their eyes were deep, too dark. There was no sparkle of innocence or curiosity. They were wells adapted to darkness, cold, calculating. Like predators sizing up their prey before the strike. Time seemed to slow around me. The sound of the cashier scanning items became muffled, distant. Then an older woman approached them. I assumed she was their mother, though there was no warmth in her movements. She touched one child's shoulder with mechanical stiffness. The three figures, the woman and the two dead-eyed children, turned their faces toward me in unison, and they started laughing. It wasn't loud. It was a low, guttural sound that didn't belong in the sterile environment of the pharmacy. They laughed as if they knew something terrible about my future. Without saying a word, they turned and walked toward the automatic exit. My heart pounded painfully in my chest. My mind, already poisoned by months of research, formed a single thought, and without realizing it, my lips released it in an involuntary whisper. This has to be Setealen. I didn't even realize I'd spoken out loud. It was just a murmur, a reflex of panic that slipped out. But the moment the words left my mouth, the woman stopped. She was already outside, on the sidewalk, meters away, separated from me by the glass doors as they slid shut. She slowly turned her body, and her eyes locked onto mine through the glass and the distance, and she looked through me. It wasn't a normal stare. It was as if she saw beyond my flesh, beyond my bones, straight into my soul. She was reading me, and then she shouted. Her voice wasn't muffled by the glass. It echoed inside my head as if she were whispering into my ear. "You are absolutely right." The mental scream made me stumble backward, crashing into a shelf of shampoos. People in line looked at me, confused, not understanding my reaction. They hadn't heard anything. The woman and the children vanished into the street. I stood there shaking, surrounded by medicines that couldn't cure what was happening to me. They knew that I knew. The following days passed in a state of feverish denial. It was a hallucination, stress, burnout. I repeated those words like a mantra. I tried to return to my routine, to force a sense of normalcy I no longer felt. I decided to go to the gym. Physical exercise had always been my anchor, the only thing capable of shutting my brain off. I trained until exhaustion, until my muscles burned and sweat poured down, temporarily washing away the fear clinging to my skin. When I finished, it was peak hour, but the gym felt strangely quiet. I headed to the women's locker room. Normally, it was chaotic. Conversations, hair dryers, lockers, slamming. But today, it was empty. A deathly silence hung in the air. The sound of my sneakers on the tile echoed far too loudly. "Is anyone there?" I asked, my voice trembling slightly. No answer. I stepped into a shower stall, turned the knob, and let the hot water fall. I closed my eyes, trying to relax. The water hit my shoulders, steam rising, creating a dense fog inside the stall. For a moment, I felt peace. Then the temperature fluctuated. Cold, scalding, cold again. And the smell changed. It no longer smelled like floral soap or shampoo. The odor that invaded my nostrils was sweet and rotten, stagnant water, rusted iron, and something dead. I shut off the shower abruptly. The silence returned, but now it was oppressive, heavy, as if gravity itself had increased. I dried myself quickly, dressed with trembling hands. Panic surged back in full force. I needed to leave, now. I grabbed my bag and pushed open the door leading to the corridor that connected to the gym's reception. I knew that path by heart. I walked it every day. But when the door opened, the reception wasn't there. In front of me was not the modern, clean, brightly lit gym. The corridor stretched into an endless darkness. The walls, once spotless white, were now peeling, coated in a dark, oily substance that dripped down to the floor. The lighting came from old bulbs hanging from exposed wires, flickering in a sickly yellow tone. The air was cold and damp. The floor was covered in dust and debris. My heart raced. I knew this description. Dead trees. Sulfur smell, gray skies, flickering lights. They were the signs, the same ones from every account I had obsessively read. I stepped back, my heart hammering in my throat, and looked at the number on the door I had just exited. It was scratched out, gouged, as if someone had tried to erase it with their fingernails. My voice came out in a strangled whisper, reluctance battling the realization crashing down on me like a death sentence. No, this can't be. This isn't real. I only reeled about this. This can't be happening. It can't. But my eyes told a different story. That's it. I'm in Setealen 1. I didn't stand still waiting for the shadows on the walls to come alive. Survival instinct screamed louder than shock, and my legs, fueled by pure adrenaline, began to run. Help! Someone help me! My scream tore through the silence, but there was no echo. The sound seemed to be swallowed by the damp walls, as if the place itself were hungry. I ran through corridors that made no geometric sense. The gym I attended was a simple rectangle, but this place was an endless labyrinth of rooms connected without logic. I entered what should have been the weight room. Parts of the ceiling had collapsed, exposing twisted steel beams like the ribs of a gigantic beast. The equipment. My God, the equipment was unrecognizable. Treadmills and bikes were piled into heaps of corroded metal, covered in thick layers of cobwebs and black soot that stuck to the soles of my shoes. Everything suggested the place had been abandoned for decades. But how? I'd been there 10 minutes earlier. The smell was unbearable, a mix of ancient mold and sulfur. With every door I opened, hope died a little more. Bathrooms with broken sinks spewing a thick brown liquid, offices with yellowed papers scattered across the floor. And the windows. The windows were the worst. I tried to look outside, expecting to see the street, traffic, city lights. But the glass was painted black on the outside, or maybe there was no outside at all, just a solid darkness pressing against the glass. Panic began to blur my vision. My breathing was shallow and painful. That's when, turning into a narrower corridor, I saw something that made me freeze. A half-open door. Inside, hanging from the ceiling by rusted chains, was a massive hook. Not a regular butcher's hook. It was grotesque, twisted, with points in multiple directions, designed to hold multiple things, multiple people. The metal was stained with something dark that had run down the chains and pooled on the floor. I didn't go in. My instinct screamed to run. That room radiated pure malevolence. Then I felt it, a buzzing, not an external sound. It was inside my head. It started low, behind my ears, then intensified, a high-pitched frequency that made my teeth ache and my eyes water. I lost my balance, staggered, and had to brace myself against the filthy wall. The buzzing resonated in my skull as if something were locating me, marking me. And then, as quickly as it came, it stopped. But the feeling of being tracked remained. I felt hunted, not by a person, but by the place itself. Turning into a narrow corridor pulsing with a faint red light, I felt the temperature change. The cutting cold gave way to humid, suffocating heat. Steam seeped from beneath a double metal door, its hinges eaten by rust. Desperate, with nowhere else to go, I pushed the door open. The door gave way with a piercing metallic groan. Instantly, I was swallowed by a white wall. It was a locker room, but nothing like the one I'd left behind. This one was vast, cavernous, completely overtaken by thick, suffocating fog. It was like stepping into a boiling cloud. The heat was oppressive, making sweat instantly bead on my cold skin. I moved blindly through the mist, my eyes burning. The sound of running water was loud, but it wasn't the clean sound of modern showers. It was an aggressive hiss, bursting pipes, heavy drips slamming against broken tile. "Hello? Please, is anyone here?" I called out, my voice dissolving into the steam. Then I saw a silhouette. At the far end of the locker room, where the fog was densest, stood a human figure. I approached slowly, heart in my throat. It was an elderly woman. She stood with her back to me, naked, showering under one of the stalls. Her skin was sagging, grayish, covered in blotches that looked like old bruises. "Ma'am?" I reached out hesitantly, without touching her. "Please, help me. I don't know where I am. I think I'm trapped." The woman stopped washing herself. The movement was slow, deliberate. She turned her head toward me. Her eyes, they were identical to the ones at the pharmacy. The same deep abyss adapted to darkness, cold and lifeless. Yet her expression was disturbingly calm, almost maternal, which made everything worse. She didn't seem surprised to see me. She smiled, a smile that never reached her eyes. I was on the verge of collapse. The heat was making me dizzy. I felt an irrational, almost hypnotic urge to clean myself. That filthy place was contaminating me. I needed to wash it off. I rushed to the shower stall next to hers. I turned the knob hard. Nothing, not a drop. Just the hollow sound of air in the pipes. I tried the next one. Dry, the next. Nothing. Desperation made me slam my hand against the grimy tile wall. Why doesn't it work? I need to get out of here. I need to clean myself. The old woman let out a low, raspy laugh that blended with the hissing steam. She raised a skeletal arm and pointed a crooked finger toward the darkest corner of the locker room. There, isolated from the other stalls, was a shower straight out of a tetanus nightmare. The pipe was encrusted with orange and black rust. The floor around it was stained dark. The shower head was twisted like a screaming mouth. The woman's voice cut through the fog, soft and terrible. That one, my dear, that one is for people like us." I froze. People like us? What did she mean? That I belong there? That I was already part of that rot? But logic had abandoned me. There was an implicit authority in her voice, something ancient, and my body obeyed before my mind could protest. I walked toward the filthy shower. My hands trembled uncontrollably as I grabbed the rusted valve. The metal was hot, almost burning. I looked at the woman one last time. She nodded, encouraging. I closed my eyes and turned the valve. I turned the valve. The metal screeched in protest, as if I were breaking the bone of an old animal. I expected cold, dirty water, or nothing at all. But what came out of the shower wasn't water. It was steam. A powerful, scalding blast that erupted like an industrial pressure cooker. The noise was deafening. A high-pitched shriek that felt like it pierced my eardrums. The steam wasn't white. It was yellowish, dense, carrying that unbearable smell of sulfur and burnt flesh. In seconds, it enveloped my body. But it wasn't just heat. It was alive. The steam seemed to probe every cell of my skin, scanning me, entering my pores, my eyes, my mouth. I felt like I was being read, judged, assessed for worthiness. My feet felt glued to the filthy floor. I was paralyzed, trapped in a trance of horror and heat. I lost all sense of time. It felt like hours, maybe days. I stood there, being washed by that gaseous substance that soaked into every pore, invaded my lungs, replacing my air with toxic miasma. My mind began to fracture. I saw shapes in the fog, screaming faces, reaching hands, but nothing was clear. The only certainty was the presence of the old woman. The fog grew so thick I could no longer see her, but I knew she was still there, wherever there was. I could hear her breathing, raspy and wet, right behind my ear, even though I knew she was meters away. I was fading. My consciousness flickered like the corridor lights. Darkness was coming to claim me. I was going to die there, in a bathroom of another dimension, and no one would ever know. Then, on the edge of unconsciousness, the fog around me flickered. For a split second, the walls changed. The filthy tile became clean, white, modern. The woman vanished, then she returned. The rot rushed back like a wave, but I had seen it. It was an illusion, a projection, a test. But why? For what? The woman's voice cut through the roar of steam before I could process it. It wasn't a scream. It was an intimate whisper, an order, as if we were old friends. Give Nina a few squeezes for me. Nina? I didn't know anyone named Nina. The thought drifted through my dying mind for a second before everything went black. The floor vanished beneath my feet, and I fell into a bottomless pit. Ma'am? Ma'am, can you hear me? The voice was male, concerned. I felt a light slap on my face. I opened my eyes, gasping for air like someone pulled from drowning. The ceiling was white, clean. Modern LED lights. I was lying on the floor of the gym locker room, the real one. Around me, 2 female gym members and an instructor stared in panic. The smell of sulfur was gone, replaced by the familiar scent of lavender disinfectant. She woke up. Call the ambulance. Cancel it. She woke up. I tried to sit up, but my body felt impossibly heavy. The steam, the old woman. I muttered. Easy, the instructor said, holding my shoulder. You fainted in the shower. You were out for about 2 minutes, probably a drop in blood pressure from the heat. 2 minutes? I lived an eternity in that hell. I was taken to the hospital. Tests, blood work, CT scan, neurological exams. The diagnosis was clinical and cold, acute stress, mental exhaustion, burnout. The doctor, a kind man with round glasses, sat on the edge of my bed, paternal. You're carrying the world on your shoulders, young lady. Your mind created an escape, a dissociative episode. You need to slow down. He opened my chart, reviewing the tests, then frowned. Your pupils are different. He shone a flashlight into my eyes, more dilated than normal, as if they've been exposed to low light for a long time. Strange, considering you fainted in broad daylight. Must be the blood pressure drop. He pulled the light away, but I felt it. My eyes hurt in the light. They never had before. You know what really helps? The doctor continued. Companionship. A pet. A dog, maybe. They anchor us to reality. I laughed, a nervous, broken laugh, but I took the advice. I needed to believe he was right. That the woman, the corridor, the steam, it was all a delusion from an exhausted mind. The next day, leaving the hospital, I went to an adoption fair in a park near my home. I wanted a fresh start. Normalcy. I walked past the cages, barely paying attention until I stopped at one pen. Inside was a small mixed-breed puppy, black with rust-colored patches on her paws and amber eyes. When I approached, she didn't bark. She stopped playing and walked straight to the fence. She looked at me, and for a millisecond, I saw it. That look, deep, too dark, ancient, too intelligent for a dog. The volunteer smiled at me. Incredible. She never warms up to anyone right away. Looks like she chose you. What? My throat went dry. What's her name? He checked the tag on her collar. Nina. The world spun. The sound of the fair faded. The woman's words thundered in my head. Give Nina a few squeezes for me. I looked at the puppy. She wagged her tail, waiting. I adopted her. Took her home. The doctor said I needed an anchor to reality. But now, every time I look at Nina, and she stares back at me with those dark eyes in the middle of the night, I wonder, did I bring an anchor to reality? Or did I bring a spy from Setealen into my home? Would you have the courage to adopt Nina, knowing she might be an emissary from another dimension? Or do you believe everything was just a delusion caused by the stress of modern life? If this story gave you chills, or if you've ever felt that the world around you was somehow wrong, smash. It helps YouTube understand that you want more mysteries like this, and beware, they say Setealen is only one thought away. Don't risk going alone. Subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. Let's explore the unknown together, before it comes for you. Comment below. I believe if you think Setealen is real, or it's all a lie if you believe it was just a hallucination. I'll be reading.